Hello and welcome to this episode of Delfield Tech Talk. Today we're going to be going over how to replace touchscreen controls on a specification line unit. For this we're going to need some pretty simple tools. We'll start with a Phillips screwdriver, a 5/16 nut driver or screw gun with a 5/16 socket, and some needle nose pliers. Some of the parts we'll be removing is a push expanders, self-tapping screws, and some regular Phillips screws. To gain easier access to the control, we'll be removing the shroud. First step of that is to remove the 4 push expanders from the 2 walls of the shroud. To do that, you're going to remove the plastic core, which relaxes the expanders. Then you can pull the expander through the material. If you have any pesky ones, you can use some needle nose pliers, but be careful because it is plastic. Next, we'll be removing the threshold between the shroud and the unit itself. That'll take 3 5/16 self-tappers, drive those out, and then we should be able to remove the threshold. Next, we're going to remove the 5 5/16 self-tapping screws from the shroud, holding it onto the unit. A little pro tip, mark where these screws came out of, as they can be easily confused with the threshold's self-tapping screw holes. Once those are removed, you can lean the shroud forward to gain access to the wiring. Once we have access to the wiring, we can start to remove the control. First, we'll start by removing the blue communications wire, the black remote USB wire, and the red and black speaker wire. Once the wires are removed, we can start to take off the 6 screws on the stainless steel bracket. We do not need to remove the 4 screws in the black plastic, as the bracket will come off the back side of the control and the control will fall through the face of the shroud. Now we're going to replace our new control. Set the control underneath the shroud so that the 3 wire ports are closest to the speaker. That way we know that the control is upright. Replace your control frame and your 6 screws. Now you can reinsert your speaker wire and your USB remote wire. Your communications wire you'll have to do once you get back to the unit. Now we can reinstall our shroud to the unit. First we're going to drop the shroud down on the 2 hinge pins. That gives us a good alignment. And now we're going to reinsert our push expanders. Once we have our push expanders in, we can reinstall our communications wire and then start to replace our 5/16 self-tappers into the shroud. Once those 5 self-tappers are drove back in, we can put our 3 self-tappers holding down our threshold. And once that's done, the unit is complete. Thank you for watching this episode of Delfield Tech Talk. If there's any information you'd like to see on Delfield units, leave us a note or a comment or get a hold of us in any way you can.